I play Shorty in Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I play Shiton in Fena Pirate Princess, Strabo in Live Alive. I play Charlotte Kato in One Piece, Ulu and Oliver in Pokemon, Janko and Trey in Yu-Gi-Oh! And Aoi in Prince of Tennis, and a lot of other stuff.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Movement Radio. I am Chip Hazard.
I'm Talon Williams.
I'm Roger Sierra.
And we are joined by a very special guest. You might know him from the Prince of Tennis. You might know him from One Piece, or maybe that new video game that just came out, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. We are joined by Nicholas Corda. Nicholas, how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you guys for having me. It is
Thank you
a
for being here
pleasure
with us.
to be here. Yes.
So obviously, thank you for joining us. We've been you and I have been conversing back and forth via email for a couple of weeks now. I'm just so glad to actually put a face and voice with the email correspondence.
Same, absolutely.
So real quick, for those who don't know, who is Nicholas Corda?
So I am an actor and a writer. I'm currently based in New York, but which is lovely. I'm currently based in New York. I play Shorty in Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I play Shiton in Fena Pirate Princess, Strabo in Live Alive. I play Charlotte Kato in One Piece, Ulu and Oliver in Pokemon, Janko and Trey in Yu-Gi-Oh! And Aoi in Prince of Tennis, and a lot of other stuff. Got some exciting stuff coming out soon. And I just love the craft, love stories, excited to be here.
All right. So Chip asked you the question, who are you? I'm going to ask the question, who were you before you began the journey of being a voice actor? How exactly did that all come about for you?
That's a great question. So I have been an actor since I was 14, professionally, since college. Theater is my background, Shakespeare, that's, which was actually really cool because in Live Alive, my character, what's cool about Live Alive is that it's like 7 different stories. And mine was the medieval chapter, and all of our lines were in verse. So the Shakespeare, it comes in handy in general, but it really came in handy there. I've kind of always loved, anime, fantasy, sci-fi, but really like just good writing in general. Stories have always been my thing. I think I've always wanted to, be involved in this industry in some capacity. I actually was almost a medieval Renaissance studies major in addition to, drama in college. I'm also a musician. I play a lot of different instruments. I play the flute, I play the piano, the alto flute, piccolo, the melodica, like a teeny bit of harmonica, and like a teeny bit of percussion. And I'm a singer.
Multi-talented.
Let's say jack of all trades, right?
Yeah. Trying to think. What else about me? I really love Lord of the Rings. I really like Tolkien. I'd love to hear about you guys. Tell me about you.
Well, so for me, I'm a lifelong comic book fan. Kind of bumped into anime in the early 90s when it was
Such a great time.
Yeah, what was it called back then? It wasn't Adult Swim, was it?
Toonami.
Toonami. Yeah. So Toonami, I fell in love with Dragon Ball Z. That was not my first. So my first foray into anime was Ranma and a half.
Oh,
Um,
interesting. Okay.
yeah. I distinctly remember that and have went back and watched it and realized that it was not as good as I remember. But we're talking about like an anime that came out in the 80s,
Mm,
so like the stuff that we've learned, like the mouth flaps didn't line up properly. So it was, but I think the story of it was really good. And if they ever like redid it, it would probably like hold up better. Um,
mm.
so
But that
yeah,
license, like, I wonder what the deal is with that license and who owns it. Anyways, that's just my own opinion.
yeah,
Um,
that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, just I love sports.
Amazing.
Everything Houston based sports related is my forte. Um, and then I really love Formula One racing.
Oh, that's so cool. Wait, okay, so Houston is Houston the Texas city that's having the like year where all the teams are you guys is it Houston that's having like the really great year like with all its sports teams? No.
No,
Is that
well,
Dallas?
I mean, sort of. So far, you have.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the Astros are third in their division. The Rockets did okay. NFL hasn't started yet, so
But you guys had a
um,
great season last year.
had
Yep.
a great season last year.
You
So it's
found your
only
you
up
found your
from
fantasy
here.
quarterback.
Yeah.
You found your franchise quarterback. So that's the main thing.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Um, so yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell. Favorite comic book characters. If we're talking DC, it's Batman, and if we flip over to the Marvel side, it's Daredevil.
Oh,
Um,
cool. Okay.
yeah.
Good choice. Good choices. I mean, Batman just kind of obviously, it's the greatest. Roger, how about you?
So originally from New York and now I live in Tennessee.
Where in New
Uh,
York?
I was born in Valhalla and then lived in Port Chester as well.
Okay.
So moved from sort of the southern Bronx area to western Bronx area, or
Okay.
closer to Connecticut after a while. Um, Moved down to Tennessee. Been here longer than I've been in New York. Um, so I'm not really a transplant anymore at this point. I'm grown here.
Okay.
Um, Started watching anime pretty much like most kids did was Toonami. I can't remember exactly which one the first anime, but I remember the Dragon Ball, Inuyasha, Yu Yu Hakusho combination of everything. Yu Yu Hakusho was the one that stood out the most for me. I just like the link with animes the most out of anything.
My
I don't know
favorite.
why. Probably because I was a kid and I wanted to cause trouble.
Yeah.
Yes. But no, when it comes to anime, I say I try every single genre. I'm a huge slice of life guy,
Mm,
more than anything now. Probably because I'm older and I just like that tranquility and how serene some of the scenes and movies can be with slice of life and how really close to home and realistic some of them are. But I do like my shonen, so I do like fisticuffs. Uh,
yeah,
um,
heck yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
um,
life is great though too.
I got into comics like right after the Ultimate Marvel line came out, so like 2002, 2003.
Mm,
I believe Spider-Man is my number one, of course.
mm,
Just
great
that's
choice.
what started it for me. But also like X-Men, Fantastic Four, Punisher. Those
Punisher.
are like my big four for Marvel, and I dabble in a lot of the other ones like the Avengers and Young Avengers and all that.
Okay.
Uh, DC side, I'm a Teen Titans, Young Justice fan. I just like the teams, like the team group ups and everything, and how they're all so different, but they all correspond and work so well. They all have different backgrounds and just different things they have to work through, but become so unified in how they build on each other and make each other better. And
Mm,
more real life situations during that teenage, weirdness growing up. So I sort of started watching them when I was a teen as well.
mm,
Um, Trying to see sports. I'm all over the map. I like the New York Rangers for hockey. uh,
okay.
a Boston
Yeah.
Celtics fan, which is weird. I'm a New Yorker that
Angel.
likes Boston team.
Interesting.
Yes, Denver Broncos my American football team, and
Okay.
then Seattle Sounders is my MLS team.
Have you
Um,
I meant to interrupt. Have you seen the horse in Denver? The
the
giant, the
giant weird
giant,
one.
the
Yes,
giant demon horse.
yes, the creepiest thing ever.
It's so funny.
And it's so huge. Like
It's so big.
it's the airport alone has a bunch of
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
something going on there.
It's a very interesting airport. I love
Yes.
Denver though, but yeah.
Let me see. What else is there? Baseball is the Yankees.
Hmm.
Just I mean, growing up in the Bronx area, so it makes sense.
Yeah,
Um, did rugby for a while. Growing up
that's
as
really
well.
cool.
It's I love it. Love watching it. I don't think I can do it anymore. My body's too broken for it.
Oh no.
Just like these guys, big wrestling fan as well. We all did wrestling. We all
Yeah.
love watching wrestling and everything. Um, Other than that, I mean, I just consider myself a normal anime nerd geek kind of guy. I
Mm,
love anime and love sharing it with the world. Love that it's become so mainstream now.
same.
Don't like a lot of the communities and fandoms, but we try to ignore the evil part of
Everyone has their place.
yeah.
Yeah. Talent and you.
Nope. Okay.
Why? Why?
I feel like I'm the most boring one out of the three of us.
No, no one's boring.
So I was born and raised in Chattanooga, Tennessee. This is my home.
Tennessee's
I
beautiful,
just
by the way.
Yeah, I've lived like I could literally tell you like I lived in East Ridge, then I lived in East Lake, and then after elementary school, I jumped over to Georgia and started living in Rossville, Georgia for a while. And then all the surrounding areas, I think I moved, I don't know, I think I moved 5 times by the time I was 20 years old or something like that.
Wow.
Um, excuse me. When I was younger, when I was real younger, like what Chip and Roger said, got into Toonami. The first anime that I remember watching was Cowboy Bebop. That was
Oh,
the first one that I remember.
yeah.
And I would legitimately stay because it would always be WWF Shotgun Saturday Night that came on at 11 o'clock on WFLI TV 53.
Mm.
And then I would jump over to Cartoon Network. And then on Cartoon Network, they would show it was either right at midnight or it was 12:30, but they would have an episode of Cowboy Bebop. And I would watch Cowboy Bebop. And then there was also like Toonami, Yu Yu Hakusho, different, shows like that. When I got older, I kind of got out of anime for a little
Mm.
while. And it was just me being, a teenager trying to fit in, even though I didn't really have to fit in, but I was trying to fit in. And it didn't really go the way I wanted it to. I was a nerd in high school. Then people saw straight through it. And even I was a nerd that was trying not to be a nerd, but they saw right through me.
Mm. We
But
all did
yeah,
that at some point.
yeah.
Yeah.
Massive wrestling fan. I was a big wrestling fan, still a wrestling fan to this day. I still think Eddie Guerrero is the greatest wrestler of all time. Don't come at me. But Roger agrees with me.
Yeah, it's
But
my favorite too.
yeah. Um, as far as sports go, like Roger, I'm all over the map. I'm an Atlanta Braves fan. And the main reason why I'm a Braves fan is because my mother was a Braves fan. So,
That's
we had
awesome.
that connection. Basketball, I'm a Memphis Grizzlies fan, and we haven't won nothing yet. Um, basketball, well,
I
yeah,
mean, you guys got
basketball.
the best shooter in the league.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Yeah, I said baseball. As far as hockey goes, I'm an LA Kings fan. Which is
Okay.
crazy that I'm a Kings fan.
Boo.
Literally, I threw a dart at a map, and wherever it landed, that's where I picked. And as far as football goes, I'm a diehard Miami Dolphins fan. I've been a Dolphins fan ever
Oh,
since the
okay.
first, ever s- the fir- since I first saw Dan Marino play because he was my favorite
Mm.
quarterback growing up. I would say that the Miami Dolphins are my favorite there. Um, but yeah, I got back into anime really, and I hate saying this because going back and watching it now, when I got back in anime, the first one that I really started watching was Death Note,
Oh,
and
yeah.
yeah, I watched the first 13 episodes are amazing,
Yeah.
but then after L gets packed up, it kind of
Spoiler.
yeah. Oh hell, if
No.
if it, if people haven't seen it by now, I mean, let's just be honest. But then, thanks to Chip and Roger, they kind of roped me back into it, and now like I'm watching all these amazing animes that I didn't watch like many years ago. Like I started watching Code Geass. I started
Oh,
watching.
yeah.
Yeah, I started watching Assassination Classroom. With shout out to my homeboy Reese because he's the one that put me on that one. And now there's a plethora of great ones that we're watching right now and even reviewing some of them, like Delicious in Dungeon, probably one of the best
Oh,
animes of
it's
this
great.
year.
Yeah.
Love it.
Solo Leveling is on another level.
Yeah.
No pun intended, but yeah, that's what it is.
I
You
see
look,
you there.
you know, of course, my favorite one right now. Yes, I love Delicious in Dungeon, but the fact that of Demon Slayer, the fact
Mm.
that my kids and my wife, like it was Demon Slayer was I was like, damn, if this show was good enough for my wife who doesn't like anime to sit down and watch it, it's got to be good. You know
Oh,
what I mean? So, and my son loves it. Inosuke's his favorite. He came out the other day, and I didn't realize this, but we had some we had just fixed our water heater in this room over here, and we had some baseboards that we took out and replaced, but the baseboards had very jagged edges on them, and my son picked them up and goes, "Hey, Daddy!" I'm like, "What?" He goes, "You know how you get the sword? I'm gonna beat the sword with another sword." And then he ran at me, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Let," it said something in Japanese. I can't. I mean, he tried to speak Japanese. He couldn't, but he was saying something. I was like, "What are you doing?" He was like, "I'm a Nosuke, beast breathing, third form," and I'm like, what the hell happened? You know what I mean?
that's
And my
amazing.
my daughter loves Nezuko. You know,
Oh,
she said like anytime, like, because when we travel and go to conventions and stuff, she's always like, "Daddy, I go with you." I'm like, "No, you can't go with me this time, but I can be Nezuko." And I'm like, "Yeah, you can be, baby, but not this time. You know, maybe next time. You know." So,
yeah.
but that's pretty much me. You know, I'm a heavy metal fan. You know,
That's awesome.
I listen to the heavy metal that people probably shouldn't be listening to, but that's the heavy metal I listen to. You know, like hell, I'll just rally off. Somebody in the comment section will probably correct me on some of these bands, but Die Art is Murder, Suicide Silence, Whitechapel, Job for a Cowboy, Lorna Shore, Slaughter to Prevail, all the heavy stuff.
Mm.
That doesn't mean that I don't, you know, listen to a little bit of Shine Down and 3 Days Grace on the side, but you know,
Mm.
uh, massive hip hop head, love hip hop music also. Everything from Eminem, anything from like the old school hip hop from back in the day to, you know, crunk music, to trap music, horrorcore, you know, just a plethora of all different things. Um, that's, you know, I'm a stand-up comedian.
That's so cool.
You know, I say I'm a stand-up comedian, but I haven't done one show since the pandemic. So, well, I take it back. I've done one show since the pandemic. I've done one show since the pandemic, and the crowd, yeah, very PC for whatever reason it was that night, and the jokes didn't hit like they used to. And I'm like, okay, I either need to stop doing this or rewrite a whole show. So I'm in the lab. I'm in the lab.
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't mean you're not, a stand-up though,
That's true.
you know.
But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thanks for telling me all that stuff, guys. That's
Yeah.
cool.
So
Well,
you're not
thanks.
boring. Lie to
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, exactly. What's that about?
I don't know.
Come on. Come on.
I've also suffered from ADHD since I was 5 years old, and a lot of the side effects with having ADHD is uh, a little thing called self doubt, and a little bit of a thing called you know, inferiority complexes and things of that nature. You
Mm.
try to suppress it, you try to like, and my medicine helps. You
Mm.
know, I take medicine for it now, and when I wasn't on my medicine, and these guys will tell you, when I'm not on my medicine, it's almost like it's worse in
Mm.
a sense. Like I'm almost like, you know, like I don't want to do nothing, you know. But then got back on my medicine, and it helps me focus, you
Mm.
know. And I actually got into not an argument, but I got into a discussion with somebody about it, and they said, I don't understand why you take that medicine. I mean, you're just using it as a crutch. I'm like, okay, forgive me for not being neurotypical. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if
Yeah.
it helps me, it helps me. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
let me get help, you know.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
it.
if you walk out your house and you broke your leg, I can't tell you, "Hey, walk it off. Go
Yeah.
to the hospital." You know what I mean?
Don't use a crutch. Just, yeah.
Just walk on out, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm. It's all right. Everybody tears their ACL. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
I
Oof.
mean, if you're playing Cincinnati in football, I guess
Oh Lord.
that turf is horrible.
Oof.
That's
MetLife
true.
Stadium's turf is worse.
Yeah, that's true.
How many was it? Like 7 people have been injured since they introduced that turf onto the new field.
Yeah,
Is it
Yeah,
Astro? Is it AstroTurf or is
it's
it?
some new turf they started coming out with. Um, but it's not as bad as the one they used for the Super Bowl,
Oh
whatever
God,
that
no.
turf was.
That was the one in SoFi, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's bad too.
yeah.
Just go back to natural grass. If it freezes, it freezes. Fuck it. You know?
I play rugby on turf. Trust me, I'd rather play on grass, even if it's cold.
Yeah,
Turf
exactly.
just sucks. It sucks so
Does
bad.
it just does it like burn? Is that why? Or
Just because so underneath the turf is just solid concrete.
oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's literally,
That makes
literally it's
sense.
literally a sheet of concrete, rubber pellets, and synthetic grass. So you're
That
literally just getting slammed onto concrete and then getting pellets everywhere, and then having this nasty grass all over your face. Uh,
that's awful.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It,
horrendous.
it really is.
But
It
it
really
does
is.
burn because in rugby no pads, so you just get a good old
Yeah.
skid mark up and down the kneecap, just
There
good old raspberries.
there's actually a petition for some, I think it was some high school in, I want to say Texas.
Hmm.
There was a petition that the parents and a lot of the players themselves requested to not use the artificial turf.
Hmm.
It retains heat. It takes like
Yeah.
it's like 10 degrees hotter than the actual air.
And plus, with all the pheromones and chemicals that it lets off whenever someone gets tackled and stuff like that, there have been links that artificial turf could
It's
lead to Hodgkin's lymphoma.
yeah, it's horrible.
That's horrific.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my
but it's
God.
cheaper, so got to go the cheap route.
I'd rather pay the extra few bucks
And
to
be
make
safe.
sure that everybody's exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Always. Always. That's
Oh,
Yeah.
So Nicholas, at the beginning, you kind of mentioned that you're a theater kid.
yes.
What if you can remember that far back? What was like the first stage play that you starred in? Uh,
So it was the Crucible. And in
ooh,
high school, yeah. I played Judge Hathorn. It was magical. It was, it was like, oh yeah, this is what I'm, meant to be doing. It's like being, another person,
yeah.
and like also like, still being myself, but also like getting to like live different lives while also living your own is so cool, but also exploring yourself while doing that. It like yeah, it's just I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. It's yeah, it was magical for sure.
Is
that's
that the
Um,
awesome.
is that the favorite one? Is that your most favorite play that you've done?
no, I think probably this show that back in college, this show called Passion Play, which was by this playwright named Sarah Rule, and it's kind of like Live a lot actually, in that there are three different um timeline like or three different the three acts are different time periods. So like the first one is in medieval England, the second one is during World War II, and then the third is during the Vietnam War. And
Ooh,
they're all about these like characters that are sort of like reincarnated in each era. And it's about like the passion play of like, that gets like done during, I think during the holidays, but it's like the story of, Jesus and Pontius Pilate, and like the medieval play of
Oh,
that. And like in Germany in Oberammergau, they it's like a very famous like I don't know if it's like a festival, or they do it every year, like very famously, and have done it for like hundreds of years. And then I can't remember the context. I think in the Vietnam one, it was just at like some local church or something. But like it's an incredible play, and I think that off the top of my head is one of my favorites.
So
Yeah.
we so you did so you were the theater kid, you did the plays and stuff. What was the transition like going into voice acting?
So I did this short film. I was actually doing Walla for this short film, and Walla is basically like all of like the background chatter, that gets put into the, music and effects and stuff, and or like adjacent. I can't remember if it's. But I was doing that for a short film, and a friend of mine was who I went to college with. It's actually Francesca Callo, um, who is also, who's a fantastic actor and director. But I said like, oh, I wanted to do more of this, and she recommended me, some classes and some coaches, and I kind of reached out to her coach, and started taking classes, and the rest is kind of history. So yeah, that's kind of it. But I've always wanted to do voiceover, in addition to like everything else. As I said, loved anime, fantasy, sci-fi. So, that's kind of, what happened. This sort of transition. Yeah.
Definitely, that's cool. That's cool. So what was that like breakthrough voiceover role where you were like, okay, this is viable to be where I'm going in life?
Yeah, okay. So I think it was definitely Pokemon. It was Ulu and
Yeah.
Pokemon, which was actually my first animation
Ooh.
like job. I'd done some like live action dubbing before that, but that was like my first animation job, and I was like, yeah, this is really cool. And like Pokemon, having grown up with it, it was like, oh, this is kind of a dream come true. And working with Lisa, it's always, a delight. And, so like that, I think was the moment where I was like, okay, full bore. And I kind of, pivoted more to that, though I'm, working on getting back into like more on camera stuff, which, I did a little, but I want to do more of it. But yeah, I think Pokemon for sure.
That makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
It's
probably
Pokemon. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of, if not the biggest, like animated franchise in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the highest
Along with the
grossing.
along with the video games and the trading card games and the anime itself. And
Yes.
God, that's got to be one of the richest franchises in the world, probably. I don't know. Maybe, well, I looked up the number, like, I'll look it up real quick. Y'all keep conversing. I'll go ahead and figure this out.
well,
Oh,
my question is,
yeah.
what is your favorite Shakespearean like story to do, like you've done?
Uh, that I've done.
Or would like to do, either one, you know?
Oh, that's hard. Um, I think, Henry and, Henry, like Hal in, Henry the Fourth and or, Henry the Fifth. I
Yeah.
really, uh, for some reason, this is a not really done play as much, but I do like the Two Noble Kinsmen,
That's a
which
good
is
one.
like, yeah, you know, uh, uh like I, I, I don't want to be like cliche. Um,
Romeo and Juliet.
yeah, I mean, of course, which is so funny because it's basically like a comedy until Mercutio dies.
Yeah, pretty
But
much.
Yeah.
no, but Iago would be fun at some point. You know, Mackers, obviously, anyone in that show, that play. Um, Hamlet is that's kind of cliche. It's just kind
Yeah.
of like fun.
Hamlet. Yeah. Yeah.
You mean The Lion King?
Yeah, exactly.
Black Panther.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
That's,
and
that's actually so true.
to answer the question that I posed a second ago, the Pokemon franchise, which includes the trading card, the anime, video games, etc., $140 billion worldwide.
Yes. Yep. That sounds right.
Yeah.
That sounds
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one for you. Uh, which is your favorite Pokemon? It doesn't have to be one that
Oof.
you played, but just your favorite Pokemon.
That's now that's hard.
There's only like 1,000
So
75 or something, you know.
it's it's
Magikarp.
yeah. I was gonna say it's Rotom. No. Um I this is gonna sound silly because it is one of my characters' Pokemon. I like a lot of others. I do like Meganium.
Meganium's so good though.
Like I just really loved having a Meganium as a child in Gold and Silver. Um oh yeah, I should just like, you know, um I do think Ho is underrated, I will say. Because like Lugia, I think is, you know,
Yeah, Lugia got so much screen time, literally our own
yeah,
movie, but you know.
yeah. Entei is cool. Um I usually, gravitate to like water and grass.
Mhm.
I know I'm like saying fire types. Uh, yeah, I'm just gonna say Meganium because my brain is like just
Yeah.
um,
And
That's
Meganium's
cool.
really cool though. I did
yeah,
have Meganium and Gold and Silver
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
I
I do like Zatu actually. Zatu is really cool. Um,
Just a
and-
psychic bird out of nowhere.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm old school. I've always been a huge fan of Charmander.
I mean, Charmander is,
He's lit, you know.
he's
Yeah.
lit. He's
Yeah.
literally lit and has
Yeah.
to be, otherwise he will die.
Right.
I mean, it's probably the saddest episode of Pokemon, but you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
The episodes where Pokemon die is
Yeah, you know,
awful.
super
Yeah.
sad.
It's awful.
For me, I don't know. It's the worst of the original three as far as like you're like I'm a fan of Bulbasaur. Like I don't
How
know
is that
why.
the worst? Bulbasaur's the
I don't
best.
know. I don't know.
Oh, best. Oh.
I mean, well, they're all
I
good.
knew
They're
this was
all
fixing to happen. I knew it was fixing to happen.
no. I
Roger
mean,
gonna come in and hit me with his
No.
alpha brain real
No, I mean,
quick.
I mean, Bulbasaur has great special defense and special attack, which is really strong against Charizard to begin with, but susceptible to fire, kind of bad.
Yeah.
this is true. My first was Charmander through Charizard, but I think I do have a soft spot for Bulbasaur just because he's, and Venusaur can just be such a tank,
Literally,
yeah. Um, and then I think on the second playthrough I did Squirtle through Blastoise, which is also, they're all like the original three, they're all just pretty terrific.
yep.
Yeah.
So it's funny that we're talking about Pokemon. So we travel around to different conventions, and we take so when we go, we do interviews with guests, do cosplay photos of the attendees, and try to bring more light to the convention scene.
Mm.
Well, all three of us have a battle vest, a denim vest that we have put like patches and everything on. And my most recent purchase of patches was it was three, but it's the original three Pokemon in skeleton form.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so
It was a vest that me and Chip started wearing when we were pro wrestlers, and we would just add stuff to it. And then once we got out of wrestling and we started wearing them to the conventions, I was just like, I got to add more to this. You know what I mean? I think I got maybe well over $400 in my vest alone.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What are your favorite patches?
Oof.
1 second.
Yeah, bring
Hold
it out.
on.
Yeah.
Let me see.
I mean, I have the Pokemon ones. I have a Daredevil one. I have a Batman one, of course.
Awesome.
I have a Black Bulls logo from Black Clover. I'm trying to think what else I have. Yeah, there's Talons. Mine's
Mine's in the car.
downstairs. Yeah, mine's downstairs hanging up, not in my office. I probably should have it
Yeah.
up here. I would
right.
have to say probably my favorite one is I have a skeletized version of Elvis.
Oh,
Uh, uh,
that's
that I
yes.
I got when my mom passed away. And she was a huge fan of Elvis. Huge fan of Elvis.
Yeah.
And so she actually, my middle name is Aaron.
Hmm.
So it's the same as Elvis.
Mm,
So yeah. So when she passed away, I found that really cool vest. I got or that really cool patch. I was like, I don't want a traditional Elvis
yeah,
patch. Um, so I found that one. It's really cool.
that's really cool. And I'm sorry,
Yeah.
man. That's
Oh man, it's been 8 years, and it's one of those things like you never really get over it, but you just
yeah,
kind of learn to cope with it, and you
yeah,
have to move forward. So
Yeah.
yeah.
He's
yeah.
Chip's definitely helped me out a lot that because my mom passed away 2 years ago and
Oh,
he's helped
sorry.
me no, it's all right. I'm just now starting to cope with it a little bit more now than what I used to, you know. But anyway, here's the best.
Oh my goodness.
All right. So I guess we'll go on the tour.
Okay.
Which
Black
was
and
your favorite though?
black and silver.
Oh,
Well, all right, let me find my favorite real quick. Okay, hold on. Now I got one for you. My favorite one, actually, my favorite two are these two right here.
oh, okay.
My where am I at? My rainbow everything sucks patch and this unicorn patch. The reason why these two specifically are my favorites is because when I started wearing this vest, like I said, I wore it when I started wearing it when I was a professional wrestler,
Hmm,
and I started adding all the patches to it, as I went along.
hmm,
This fan came up to me and she gave me these two patches. And
hmm.
she said, if I give you these patches, would you put them on your vest? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I'll put them on my vest. No problem. Then I found out that this one right here, she paid $25 for.
Wow.
This one right here, she paid $15 for. So
Wow.
this girl, taxes included, guess rounds about maybe $42, $43 or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm a dick if I don't put these on my vest. So the very next show, which was at Chip Show that he was running, EWA out in Chattanooga,
Hmm.
um, I put them on my vest, and then I made sure that I found where she was, walked right over to her, and I turned my back to her to let her know that I had the patches on. And
That's
she's crying that she's so
oh
happy that I put the patches on. I'm like, this made my day. The fact that I was able to make somebody, and of course I got Slipknot, Cannibal Corpse, the
yeah.
Miami Dolphins, Mario and Luigi,
Luigi.
you know,
That's
all
amazing.
these, all these over here, the Ghostbusters patch.
Jurassic Park
Uh,
Ranger.
yeah,
Yep.
Jurassic Park Ranger. I think me and Chip got I think we got
I
same
I have
person
that
gave us this, right? Yeah,
I bought mine.
yeah. That
Uh,
was good mine. And then we have our Mandalorian patches that we
Amazing.
got, I think, last year at uh
Celebration.
Huntsville, I want to
Oh,
Huntsville,
say.
yeah, he was Huntsville.
Yeah.
um, yeah, we got that one in Huntsville. I have a different one that I got actually from the Bescalis clan.
Yeah.
mm,
Farley Khan
that's
in G.I. Joe form. Shout out to Rocky Spurlock. This was actually the very first con, not this particular event. This was 2023's event, but in 2022, when we started doing conventions, Farley Khan and Rocky Spurlock actually helped us get onto the first one. And
mm,
then, it all helped out from there. And of
mm.
course, I got my Decepticon,
Decepticons.
Lemmy. You got to have Lemmy.
Mm,
Disturbed once again, Suicide Silence, Volbeat, uh,
amazing.
Hell Hydra, all
Uh,
that, and then
Just like Captain America.
yeah, this
yeah.
side, this side. Shout out to my homeboy Shane Daniels who got me this one, my Ultron, Umbrella Court, Daria, Six Sad World,
As
Love Daria.
in the cartoon.
Yeah.
as in the cartoon. Yeah,
Awesome.
Lamb of God, Black Label
Uh,
Society, Down. This is actually for uh one of my mentors, Greg Hollander, aka Big Wood the Lumberjack.
mm,
And then down here is a band that many people know about. It's a band called Suffocation, and
mm.
they're pretty brutal. So that's that. Oh, and you gotta have the American flag because why not?
'Cause why not?
I'm a patriot. So set this up.
Thank you for sharing that.
That,
That's
thank you for asking about it.
Oh my
It's very
God.
rare. It's very rare I do a vest tutorial, because when we're at these conventions and we're walking around, like I'm taking pictures and Chip's holding the video, or Roger's holding the video camera. Chip's got a microphone interviewing people and stuff. And then every once in a while I'll hear, "Hey, I like your vest. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it." Like, I don't know where that sound came from, but thank you.
Yeah.
But
Again,
one thing I've noticed that since we started doing that, more and more people are wearing vests to conventions.
Mm.
mhm.
And it's
Yes.
cool.
Not saying we
You guys are
not saying
trending.
we started a trend, but it
Yeah.
Yeah.
sure
But,
appears that way.
Yeah.
but I'm okay with it because I mean everybody gets to show off in a different way.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
But also we got to give a shout out to Eli,
Dumpster,
also
yep.
because he was rocking it, before we did. So, shout out to him for that.
Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna open.
Yes.
Oh, you're good.
There's more light in here. Second. All right. I'm gonna stand. I'm at a standing desk, if that's okay.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
So cool. Such a great desk.
Yeah.
I need to get me one.
Yeah.
But
It's, like, it's a
for me, I
light.
guess my favorite patch would have to be my Power Rangers SPD patch.
Heck yeah.
Because I'm such a Power Rangers nerd, and my favorite season of it is SPD.
Mhm.
That one, and probably also my Mighty Morphin Black Ranger, because that's the first one is where it started. I love it so much.
Mm.
Uh,
So I recently, story time. I
Uh-huh.
recently went to the Intrepid Museum, which is in Manhattan, but they have a submarine that you can go in, and in the like the mess hall part of the submarine, there is like this, out of date coffee maker. And in the little tray was a look, someone like had put a pin, they left a pin there that said, it was a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers pin, just like in the submarine.
That's so
Nice.
awesome.
And I was like,
That's cool. Hell yeah.
That
anyway,
is so
that's my
cool.
story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So back to you for a second. So as a theater kid, do you have like dreams and aspirations to be on Broadway, or is that not something you want to work
You know,
towards?
I I wouldn't say no. I think I'd be more interested in doing more TV film stuff, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Obviously, I'd love to work on something like that, but I think just with where, my goals are at now, and in terms of like the work that I enjoy doing, um, I think I probably will take steps towards that instead of theater necessarily. But maybe one day, never say never.
Right.
Yeah.
So, growing up, what was your favorite animes? We talked about ours. What
Uh,
was yours?
Good question. Definitely Yu Yu Hakusho. I really
Yes.
love Yu Yu Hakusho. Yeah. My brother and I kind of just like that was our jam, and he's a bigger anime fan than I am, but and I usually watch the things that he recommends to me. But I actually really, not the anime because the anime was like 2 seasons long or whatever, but like I as a kid I really loved Rave Master as well. Like, just funnily enough, for some reason I remember that. You know Cowboy Bebop is obviously really great.
Yeah.
One Piece is great. Like I got, you know because I was like younger, I got about 100, like to that point, like probably like 100, 200 episodes or something. Um, like in terms of where the story was at. Uh,
Yes.
but and like played some of the video games and stuff. But I think one of the things for me, like the progression was Zelda to, and like Nintendo, and then I picked up Tales of Symphonia.
Oh,
Symphonia,
yes.
Symphonia.
Yeah.
Symphonia. Yeah.
Yeah, my brother and I, were kind of, and my like childhood best friend, we were like obsessed with it, and that was kind of like my gateway to anime, because like I always, like I had like seen it, but and I was like, oh, this is cool, but then I didn't, like Star Wars was like my thing, and then like Lord of the Rings, and like those are, have always kind of like been the main things, but then like anime took over for like a bit, and then but yeah. So thank you, Bandai Namco, for getting me there,
Right.
And I just remember that cast being, you know, just
Yes.
just so stellar, and really that story just very impactful, and from there I kind of never looked back, if that makes sense. I mean, and of course I
Huh.
watched Yu-Gi-Oh! And before that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and played the game, and
The game that
but
cheats.
yeah, yeah,
It has way stronger cards than you do in the first level.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's all like C's and synchro. Yeah, but the original cards won't do it
Yeah.
anymore.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, like but yeah. I mean, I think that was sort of the progression, and I feel like I'm missing one. There's like one thing that I'm missing, and I can't remember. But if I do remember, I'll let you know.
All right,
Oh yeah.
so we're all having a good time, just laughing, shooting the breeze, if you will. But I do have a serious question to ask you, because we've
Yeah.
asked several voice actors this over the course of the last several weeks. The advent of AI, artificial intelligence, in the animation industry, and that there are a lot of people who are very much against it, but then some studios are more along the lines of it would be cheaper to produce with content and things of that nature. What is your opinion about the usage of AI in the entertainment industry?
I think because it's here and most likely not going away, I think it just needs to be regulated, and as long as the artists are taken care of, and can uh, like, as long as they're not being replaced, like if it's if the situation is that it becomes like necessary to make a digital clone or whatever, like that they can still choose to perform and do the thing that they love. Because I think the being replaced is the issue, and then thus like, and also not owning your likeness, like that is also a big issue. I think really I would love, you know, for there to be some laws in place. I think that would be the most ideal situation at this point. And the union has, like started to work towards, SAG-AFTRA has started to work towards, some protections, but I do think like I do wish Congress would do something. Um, you know, just because it is important. And I think nothing really replaces a human artist. And and that turns, like obviously money, art needs money to be made, but also, one shouldn't dictate the other, and you know, vice versa. Like you don't want to necessarily just, I mean, art for art's sake is great, but like just to make it is great, but also like if you want to do this for like a living, you don't just want to make something and not get paid for it, unless it's like a passion project, or what have you.
Right.
Of course.
So yeah, yeah, that's what I would say at this
No, no,
junction.
I'm right there with you on that. Because I feel like once you take the emotion out of the art, it doesn't become art. And you know, AI, AI can be good in certain circumstances. Um, like we who was it that we just spoke to, and they were saying, so
Eric
like
Rowan?
Yeah.
yes, it was. And he was saying like, so if we'll just use you for example. So if like you pass away in the middle of a project, right?
Yeah,
And like your family or whoever is like over your estate says, okay, we want his voice to be able to finish this project. And there's already an AI model that's been created,
Yeah.
or whatnot, and they say, okay, we want, Nicholas's voice to finish out this project, then that would be okay. But for me to just start a project and, okay, I want, you know, a Pokemon project and I want to use Nicholas's voice, but I wanted to say all this like underhanded, dirty, nasty
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like that I'm not okay with at all.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think what I would say to that is, I mean, there are people who do voice matches, I will say. So, but yeah, if in like the event, that it really needs to be like the same person's voice, and it's not like it's just going to be like continually used, unless like the person who, passed is like, I want my family to be able to use my likeness, to make money or whatever. Like if it's their consent. I think it's just always about consent. And I think if like the person, is aware and they know and they consent, then it's, it becomes their choice. As long as in the end game, like people aren't being replaced. Because like, okay, like in video games, right? Like there's this like I guess I think it's an AI that they used like in like The Last of Us, where if like Joel moves too far from, Ellie, then like Ellie will, walk faster to keep up or something like that, is great because that, that furthers the immersion and that isn't like taking away any like creativity. But like if you were to like, use the AI to replace Troy Baker's performance, like without him, being aware, like that's a different story.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, we've talked about like, what would the legalities be and how would you regulate it and what exactly could you do?
yeah,
What would what would the offense be? What would how could you punish it? You know what I mean? And certain things like that. Like me, like I would like to know that what I'm watching is authentic. Like I want to know that if I'm watching an anime, just say just for a second for an anime, and we talked to Bruce Carey about this several weeks ago. He says that that a voice is two dimensional,
mm,
with the character being three dimensional. The voice is two dimensional from the standpoint, like, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but can I feel what you're saying?
mm,
And then when you watch it back in the anime, you clearly, I see what you're doing, I hear what you're saying, but now I feel the moment. Like I feel when you're sad, I feel when you're angry, I feel when you're kind of disingenuous. I can understand if you're being serious or if you're being playful and things of that nature. And I think when you take away the artist away from the art, then now we're going to have to figure out what the definition of art really is at that point, because then, where do you go from that point and how far does it go? Like, cause what I said, there's levels to this, and every level it gets scarier and scarier to the point to where, I mean, we talked about it just a couple of weeks ago. Like, has nobody watched Terminator? Do you not know what Skynet is? You know what I mean?
apparently not. um, yeah, I mean, like, and to your point, like, we engage with art, we consume art, because it's like how we are human. It's like how we like learn to be human, how we explore our humanity. Like it's kind of, inseparable in many ways. Like art isn't art unless it's about, our relationship to the world and to each other. Um, so yeah, I agree. It's I really hope they, that it goes in a direction that prioritizes that, because otherwise, uh, it's not going to be good.
I
Not going to
No.
be good at all.
I
Yeah.
No,
agree.
and
I agree.
an interesting, also what you're saying kind of made me think, like just knowing that what you're watching is, um, human, in a way. Like I don't think this would ever happen, but it just kind of like brings me to this idea of like, oh, what if there was a disclaimer at the beginning of something where it was like, part of like certain actors' performances, were AI or like whatever. I mean, I don't know if that's necessary, but like, that if they need to do that and it's not, I don't know where I'm going with this, but you know what I mean? Like if there's like so the person knows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. So one thing that YouTube has done now, so once I like edit this video and I get ready to upload it, I have to disclose whether uh a portion of this interview is rendered with AI in any
That's
way. Your voice, a background, anything. Like I have to tell that. And if you've ever been watching YouTube and there has been something in a video, like in the corner of the video somewhere, it pops up and it'll say, a portion of this was produced with AI.
AI.
Mhm.
So they're
Yeah.
already doing it. That's
Mm.
that's
Yeah.
fast. Okay. Fast.
Yeah.
I feel like
But
you oh, go ahead.
no, what were you gonna say?
Oh, no, I was just gonna say I feel like you can often like tell, even like no matter how good it is, you can still like kind of
Yeah.
tell like there's just something that your brain is like, there's something weird about that.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah,
It just doesn't sound right or doesn't look right or
yeah.
something
Wait,
just a little off.
yeah. Hair's not supposed to be clumpy like that around the
yeah,
hairline.
yeah,
What is that?
yeah.
Because you see that like and even if you do take a real video, like
Mm,
we see in like the shorts and the TikToks and things of that nature, even if you take a real video which was shot in real time,
mm,
you can take that video, you could take that clip and you can render it into AI to
mm.
make it look like it's not authentic, you know?
Oh,
And
wow.
now we're getting to the point to where it's like, okay, did he really say this or was this rendered?
Yeah,
Because and it's some weird, crazy reverse psychology Jedi mind trick, and then
yeah.
it I
That's
mean, the truth gets lost in the street and you don't know what's going to happen,
yeah, yeah. That's another reason why we
That's a
need legislation. Like,
yeah.
Yep.
just
Mm,
so people's identities aren't stolen. Like at a
yeah.
minimum. Um, yeah, yeah. Good question.
Yeah. Sorry I brought the show down. I was just trying
Oh
to ask
no,
you.
no. I mean,
No,
We
it's I
we
mean,
all got somber a little bit, so
No, I mean it's a serious situation that we, as fans of entertainment in general, unfortunately have to go through. Because I
yeah.
mean, film, any kind of ingestion of media, you got to wonder, is it AI or is it human now? Which is kind of weird. We never really thought we get here. I guess at least not in my lifetime, but
yeah, yeah. It's pretty crazy.
yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
So,
Oh, go ahead. Go
when it
ahead.
comes to like voiceover work,
hmm.
you've done like anime, you've done some American animation, you've done video games. Um, of those three voiceover genres, which has been your favorite to partake in?
Mm. So that's hard. I think, right now, I think it's video games, but I love all equally. And I think it also it depends on the project. And if the project is interesting and like has a well-written story, or the character is, interesting or a challenge, I'm like, that like I'm in, like, give me that. I want to explore that. Video games are great because they're very like physical, like if you're not sweating when you're doing like, an action-packed game, you're doing something wrong because, you can like the audience can definitely tell, and yeah, it's just really fun and often like feels like very real, visceral, But I think it also just depends on the project because um, I have been working on this anime that has just been that I wrapped a couple weeks ago, but it's just like really funny. you know, and just like, you know, in a kind of like bonkers way. And, you know, like it's very special in, you know, that regard. So and also kind of like there's nothing sort of like it. So like that has been really cool. But I think right now video games, just because there's a lot of interesting stories being told in that medium, and you know, like I'm a big God of War fan, and I just, you know, have really um like I finally played through Ragnarok this past like let's say like November, December, January. And
Mhm.
like just really, you know, played like 100, you know, I'm a bit of a completionist. You know, so
Yep.
Understandable.
yeah,
Yep.
and I also, you know, really love you know, mythology and like Norse myth, and you know, so like I was just like, this is, I love this so much. And just how you know, amazing the performances are, just really is like something like that is like really special. And you know, like so I love that, like really the storytelling that's being done in video games right now is like, you know, really incredible. Like another really great game, Hellblade. I haven't played the second one, but I really love the first one.
Oh,
And
yeah, the
Yeah.
second one's so good.
oh yeah,
I'm not gonna spoil anything, but yeah, the second one's really, really good.
amazing. Okay, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I
All right.
yeah.
I'm gonna ask you a fanboy question real quick. Because you just brought up God of War. Hypothetically speaking, if they were to produce a live action God of War, who would you want to play Kratos?
Oof.
I mean that's hard because like okay, do you in like the Greek story, like
The
in
original
storyline, or
or
no?
the Norse?
Let's go with the original. Let's go with the original God of War.
Because that was a little more human fit than the
That
Norse
is
mythology
true. Yeah,
one.
that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Uh,
hard. It's hard because I just really love Chris Judge's performance so much, and I just have a
Yeah.
hard time
Yeah.
seeing anyone but him as Kratos.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
oh,
the reason I asked the question is because I seen a thing the earlier I can't remember how long back ago it was, but
with The Rock.
it was a questionnaire about like which actors should play certain video game characters if they were if they had a film adaptation,
Yeah.
and the one that they used for Kratos and God of War, uh the top three people suggested were Tom Hardy, Dwayne Johnson, of course, because why would you not have Wayne Johnson do another character? It's like he doesn't have already 5,000 other ones. Uh, and God, I can't remember who the other person who they said was, but I remember Tom Hardy and The Rock being the two that they
Mm.
said, but I don't know. I don't know about
I
that.
I love Tom Hardy. I can honestly see him. I mean, I know that there's been that, you know, conjecture about him being Wolverine, even though, you know, that probably won't happen now. But
no.
I can
No.
see that more. Even though I love him and I think he's brilliant. Um, honestly, I kind of could see Dave Batista
Ooh.
more so, but not like I don't think he would be my top choice. I really like him. Um, oh God. Christopher Judge. Um,
I
um,
mean,
I guess he'd have to
hey,
be younger though, because you know, well, CGI. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
would say.
I haven't really. I should probably be better about thinking about this stuff.
yeah,
Um, I would really. There is part of me that would really love to see a Greek actor, you know,
Mhm.
potentially, just because I feel like like often in like stories that, you know, like film adaptations of Greek or Roman stories, it's always like British people and Scottish
mhm,
people,
Yeah.
which is totally great. But I also, you know, part of me would also love to see some Mediterranean folks in there. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, Christopher Judge.
Chris Judge, yes.
That's good.
That's my final answer.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. Like I said, I'm not holding your feet to the fire on this one. It was just a simple.
Yeah.
It was a simple question. Yeah.
I just love his performance
Yeah.
so much.
Any kind of like any movie, like I'm a fan of those movies too. Like I'm a fan of probably one of my favorite movies of all time is the movie 300 about the Spartans against the Persians. I'm also a fan of the movie Troy. And I think I guess the reason why I'm a fan of those movies is because when I was real young, my dad sat down and let me watch Jason and the Argonauts, which was really cool. Like, they
That's-
fighting skeletons and shit. I'm like, God, this is cool. You know?
Yeah,
You know?
that's a classic. That's a incredible film. Actually, so interesting thing. You may know this, but so in the Norse book of myths, in I think the Prose Edda, at the end of a certain section, Snorri Sturluson, who is like the guy who like collected all these myths and wrote them down, he talks about how Ragnarok and like Norse myth is just one big metaphor for the Trojan War, and that King Priam is Odin, Hector is Thor, like Thor, and then Odysseus is Loki. And it's just it's interesting because you're not, it was all written down in the 1200s, so you don't know if this is like him trying to like co-opt Greek myth and be like, oh, see, Norse myth is also important because it's, because people like would study the classics and stuff, I think, at that point. But I always found that interesting because, there's also like the conflation of like the sky father, archetype and, anyways, that's just me being nerdy.
Now that I think about it, though, no, Odysseus would be low key if you really think about it.
He really would be.
And Achilles is the Midgard serpent, is Jormungandr, which is what they say, which is interesting. I'm just like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know how that works, but
I'm gonna probably watch Troy in a couple of days with the wife and be like, Nicholas Corda told me about this, and she's gonna be like, "Shut up and watch the movie, Talon."
I'll find it and I'll show you the message.
Yes. So I have two more questions. First of all, you said you were loved Lord of the Rings. Which has been your favorite of the 6 movies so far?
Return of the King.
Ooh.
I think so. Return of the King. I mean, I love Fellowship. I love all of them. And here's the thing. I know I really also like The Hobbit. I know it's very long, but I just also really any chance to be in that world, I just, but yeah, I really love Return of the King, even though Fellowship does have like more moments of like, there are certain instances of more moments of like complexity in terms of them getting to like explore the characters, and also they're all like together, whereas obviously they're separated in the other two. But Two Towers does have like the best on-screen battle, I think, like medieval siege battle of like any film. Helm's Deep, like that's just an achievement. I mean, the whole thing is an achievement, but the fact that they did that, it's just bonkers. How about you? What are your 3?
I have to go with Return of the King as well. There's just something about like, and it's really like near the end when like Aragorn finally gets the army and you see him running, and then all the spirits appear behind him and it's going. I really feel like Avengers Endgame kind of stole that scene.
Yeah.
For their movie, just my personal opinion. But yeah, that and I really like the Hobbit movies. I know they got a lot of flack because it was like, oh, he took one book and made 3 movies. But if you've ever actually like read the book, which I'm sure you have, being a fan, like there's a lot there in the book.
Yeah.
So I felt he justified it with 3 movies.
Yeah, and there's also stuff going on in the Silmarillion that like happens, when Gandalf is like, bye, like in the White Council stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah, and just yeah, I think it's fun. I also love how they like differentiated all the dwarves because everyone was like, oh, how are they gonna differentiate all the dwarves? And I really love the dwarves. And I love like that culture and um talent. How about you?
Um, see, see, I'm stuck between Two Towers and Return of the King.
Mm,
Kind of like with you. Like, yeah, Return of the King is probably like it's like that. It's the best one, but like what you said, Twin Towers, excuse me, Two Towers had like that big battle there, right there, right there in the middle.
yeah.
That's one of them you don't really. It's hard to pick between them two, but I would, if I'm leaning more toward Return of the King.
Mm, mm.
But it's like 51-49.
Yeah. Yeah. No, totally. Roger, how about you?
So I am probably the weirdest fantasy person ever because I still have yet to watch any of the Lord of the Rings.
Really? Okay. All right.
Uh, it's weird because I've watched Harry Potter, Star
Yeah.
Wars. I do D&D, so I love fantasy realm. I
Yeah.
think Freedom's probably one of the greatest fantasy anime of all time.
Yeah.
I've played the
Yeah.
games,
Yeah.
everything. I just never sat down and watched the movies, and I don't know, they just never drew me in when I was younger. And now I'm just like, I need to actually watch them, and because that's the D&D side of me. Is like I need to understand the basis of pretty much all of this and
Mm,
all the way the races are depicted and actually like brought to life and everything. Because we haven't really had something of that magnitude fantasy realm wise besides Lord of the Rings, and
yeah.
now D&D movies are being made again. So,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
no, from what I've played and saw the clips from the games and everything, Two Towers would probably be
Mm,
my answer right now. Just the great battles in that one I liked a lot.
yes.
Um, so yeah,
Totally. Yeah. I mean, the Two Towers game and the Return of the King game, those games are just like
so good.
so good. Yeah. What I will say, I think they're in theaters now. I think they're being shown in theaters. If
It's like the anniversary, yeah.
yeah, but I would also recommend watching the extended because they are
There's
terrific.
there's a
Long,
lot
but
in the
they're terrific.
extended though.
Yeah.
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 No, I'm like, I mean, hey, I marathon Harry Potter in a week, so I can probably marathon that in a week. So,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm the weird one in that one.
No, not at all. Not at all. Um, yeah, I love Lord of the Rings.
Uh, this was not one of my last 2 questions, but sticking with Lord of the Rings, are you excited for the Gollum movie?
I'm excited for any venture into Tolkien's world. I am curious as to what they're gonna do. I am curious to know if they're gonna, recast Vigo in it. I am curious. I'm just curious. You know, I hope they also do other stories like from the first age and because there's like a lot in there. Um, but I'm definitely curious. And I think, Circus is a genius. So,
Oh yeah, Andy was
yeah,
amazing when it comes to that stuff.
yeah. Like I do think he, you know, uh just deserves all the awards for just I mean, like Planet of the Apes and even in Andor, like
Yeah,
his
he's
his monologue in Andor, like that One Way Out episode is just like some of the greatest television. Um, but yeah, but also for his, creature stuff and have you.
yeah.
Yeah. But I'm curious. Let me say that. I'm excited. I'm curious, what they're gonna do with it.
Right. All right. I am also curious. I think if I'm not mistaken, and I'll have to go back and read the article. It's mostly all original, so it's like they're pulling from the Tolkien like world, but it's
Yeah,
because in
very,
the
very
books,
nice.
yeah, in the books, there's not a lot about Gollum that we don't already know.
Yeah,
Um, so this is going to be more of an original like piece.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
Didn't they make
uh,
a Gollum game?
they did, and it was actually voted one of the worst video games of 2022, I believe.
Oof.
23.
23. Okay.
Oof.
Yeah,
Uh, so
2023 had a lot of great games. It's kind of unfair.
it's true. Did have a lot of great games.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
all right. Last question. What is next for Nicholas? Do you have any conventions coming up? Um, what can you tell us? What is next for you?
So I don't have anything in terms of cons on the immediate horizon, but working on that. I have a couple of projects coming out, you know, throughout the year.
Yeah,
Uh, I'm also a dubbing script adapter, so working on a bunch of projects on that front as well. Um, the I don't know how much I can talk about it, but I'm
yeah,
in the Dirty Pair dub, and that actually was the thing that I was talking about that was like really funny, um, and special. So like I think that is on its way to coming out sometime soon, but I don't have any concrete details on that. But just my hopes. But it was a delight to work on. Yeah, but in terms of like things that I can talk about, yeah, but lots of things in the works.
perfect. That's what
Yeah,
I like to hear. Lots of
yeah,
things in the
Yes.
works.
yeah,
Yes, absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to contact you or anybody wants to find you on social medias, where can they go?
So my Twitter and Instagram are both at Nicholas J. Corda. That's Corda. And then my website is just nicholascorda.com. And yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, Nicholas, I was once told that the greatest gift that a man can give is his time, and we greatly appreciate your time this evening. Thank you for joining us. This has been an absolute blast. Um,
Yes.
Yeah.
Very fun. Very,
yes.
very fun. Yes.
Yeah. It's been
Um,
such a blast to talk to you guys. So I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Absolutely. If you want to hang out with us for just one quick second while we pay a couple of bills, thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. We really do appreciate you guys staying with us. Chip, Roger, anything you guys want to say before we get out here this evening?
as always, please do not leave without leaving a like, comment, share, and subscribe on Spotify and right here on YouTube.
All right, your turn, Roger.
And as always, thank you guys for the great support. Without the support, we wouldn't be able to do great stuff like this, where we get to interview, people in the business and just get to pretty much make friends. Also, we get to go to cons because of you guys. We have a couple coming up. The next one is Ranger Stop and Pop in Atlanta. Next next week,
This
this week.
this weekend.
Yeah, I don't even remember my days anymore. But yes, so anybody out there that are fans of the Power Rangers like me and the rest of the guys, come on out down to Atlanta, enjoy yourselves, meet some of the OGs out there. I still got 2 more signatures to make my collection, and I'll be able to get one hopefully. So yes, I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely. And if you guys want to continue to support Movement Radio, check out streamlabs.com/movement radio/merch and go copy some merch. Everything will be in the description of the video. And once again, Nicholas, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really do appreciate it. Check him out on his social medias. Everything in regards to him will also be in the description of this video as well. And also, like what Chip said, make sure you leave a like, share, a comment, and we definitely do appreciate you guys. We love you, and we'll catch you guys next time. I'm Talon Williams.
I am Chip Hazard,
And I'm Roger Sierra.
and this is Movement Radio.
God's bless.